Risk of Rain 2 is a single-player roguelike game that has no business being one of the most interesting esports to watch. And yet it is. The uniqueness of this competition lies in its solitary nature. Unlike team-based esports where victory hinges on coordination, here, players are on their own, navigating the perilous world of Risk of Rain 2. Solo style. Okay, no more ChatGPT. But look, the largest online esports competitions are usually between multiple people who fight against each other. We have games like League of Legends, CSGO, and Smash, and it's clear why they're the biggest. The most fun competitions to watch are ones where people are directly against each other on the screen. How else would we have gotten clips like this? And you wouldn't really expect that kind of competition out of a single player game, because, well, you play alone. Let me just give you a quick introduction to Risk of Rain 2. For those of you that haven't played, this game is a roguelike, which is basically a loop of the same game over and over. I mean, it's more fun than that. There's multiple different stages, different enemies on each stage. You have to shoot or slash these guys to get gold, which you can use to open chests and get random items. You fight these bosses to move to a new world, conquering and destroying everything in your way. Basically, you're an accidental colonialist who's just trying to go home. And although the game repeats itself, the beauty of the game comes from the several different ways you can play it. Yeah, the stages are limited, the enemies are the same, but no two playthroughs are the same. And this is because of the loot pool and the playstyle of the player. The way a player traverses through these lands is crucial to their survival and also their success. The longer you play, the harder it gets, as shown by this little meter here. So this looks like a standard single-player roguelike. How are you supposed to get an esport out of this? The people at Risk of Resources came together to figure that out. Shout out to these guys. They created a competition where a group of players, usually 4, come together and run races at the same time. They compete and see who can complete the game the fastest using the same character and moveset. And there are 4 different races per competition. The races are scored using a point system. First place gets 3 points and an additional point for every 5 minutes that they are ahead of second place. Second place gets 2 points, third place gets 1 point, and last place gets nothing. This point system is important because usually when you die in Risk of Rain 2, the run ends, no take-backsies. So they implemented a special item which is given to the player on death, adding 5 minutes to their run and also bringing them back to life, allowing them to continue the run. The one thing about competition is that it has to be fair. There shouldn't be any handicaps, and the amount of RNG should really be limited, otherwise it's just frustrating to watch. In Risk of Rain, each map rotation and its loot pool is generated based on a seed that is assigned to the run when a round is started. The guys at Risk of Resources give each player the same seed so that they can take out any unfair forms of RNG. This way, when the races are played, the only variation is in the players' playstyles. Okay, now that I've explained it, and hopefully it's clear, I think this idea is super fun and cool, and it's made for a lot of really cool moments. These players have no idea what's going on with the other players, but somehow it always seems like they're right on top of each other. Like, look at this race. It literally just started. It hasn't even been 30 seconds for these guys, and each one swung across the whole stage to hit the teleporter almost immediately. It's crazy. Like, the mental game must be insane during this. You have to assume that everyone else is ahead of you at all times, otherwise you've just fallen behind. At least in your brain you're falling behind. You have to play based on however many hours of experience the other players have. Personally, I would have never just started the teleporter. I would have ran around for a couple of minutes just fighting random guys and getting loot, because there's no way I'm surviving that boss fight. These guys though just ran straight to the teleporter because they knew Loader on his own has the base strength to take out the stage boss as soon as the round started.
It just goes to show how powerful Loader is. There's no other character in the game that you'd really be doing this with.
And the thing is, they're all in the same place, but they took wildly different paths to get there. And these adjustments in their path make a huge difference too. It's not like it's minor. Since each map and loot layout is the same, the path a player takes affects which items they get. If a player misses an essential item that will help them save a huge amount of time, they're probably not going to win that round. In these competitions, there's essentially 3 types of items that can help you save a huge amount of time. The first is any type of AoE damage, which can help you clear the hordes of monsters more quickly and get a lot of money, allowing you to loot more before you leave the stage. The second is single target damage, which is super important when fighting high health enemies, mini bosses, and most importantly, Mithrix, the final boss. Lastly, and in my opinion the most important, is the pillar skip. On the final stage, to get to Mithrix, you need to charge 4 pillars on the map, which can take a huge amount of time. If you find the right equipment though, or have the right loadout, you can essentially just jump high enough to reach the final boss room without all the extra dilly-dally. This can be a huge time save if you're the only player to find it, because charging the pillars can take forever. Honorable mention for the defense items, because a death does add 5 minutes, but ideally after 10,000 hours of playtime, you're not getting hit enough to end up dying. If we look at this run, Wooly, one of the players in these matches, missed out on a huge damage item, Scorpion, and a great AoE damaging item, the Molten Perforator. It may seem like these two items wouldn't make a huge difference, but they would have helped him clear hordes of enemies way faster, and also deal more single target damage, decreasing the time taken to beat Mithrix. All this difference in damage came just because he skipped 2 chests while trying to save time. This type of competition takes multiple different schools of thought to get good at. A lot of these guys speedrun the game, so they use that speedrunning knowledge to shorten their time in their races. But a huge part of speedrunning in Risk of Rain 2 is running the odds. You want to get damage items, movement items, a red band which can help you skip a whole section of the final boss, and a pillar skip as soon as possible. If you're not getting these items all within the chests in the route you choose, the run is dead. But in these speedruns, you can just quit and restart as many times as you want. You don't have that luxury in these races, so you need to balance your speedrunning tech with your regular playthrough tech. You can take more time to make sure you have enough damage and check all the equipment barrels for a chance to find a pillar skip, but not too much time of course. You need to find that balance. If we look at another run of Wooly's, we can see here that he's using a sticky bomb printer to change up his items. These printers guarantee the item that they display, but you run the risk of looting items that you might find even more valuable. If your items are all trash, this won't matter of course. So he starts printing sticky bombs, prioritizing his damage over the items he already has. This printer is accessible to everyone, but Wooly was the only one who decided to use it in this run. He ends up losing an attack speed item and a healing item. This play ends up helping Wooly out, as the character he is currently playing as is an assassin and does not need that much attack speed. And in these races you don't want to get hit in general, so healing items aren't super useful anyways. Going into the next stage, Wooly is the only one with multiple sticky bombs, giving him the edge in damage. He does end up getting second, but it was super close. The other player, Disputed Origin, only won because he had gotten an ATG and a Plasma Shrimp, which are 2 huge damaging items, and outrank the sticky bombs in this situation. Both of these players took 2 different routes, gambled 2 different outcomes, and still had really similar timings. Super cool in my opinion. Another thing I love about these races and this game is that there's a lot of little secrets that you can find that can help you out like crazy. I mean, they're not huge, and once you know about them, they're not really secrets anymore, but they play a huge part in how much time you can waste or how much time you can save. The most interesting of these is the ancient gate in the stage 2 map, Abandoned Aqueduct. On this map, there's a gate which you can open which holds 2 Elder Lemurians. If you kill these guys, they drop an Ice Band and a Fire Band. The Ice Band gives you huge single target damage every 10 seconds, and the Fire Band is a kind of AoE damage dealing item, but there's a glitch in the game where you can skip Mithrix in his final stage if you proc the Fire Band in the middle of the arena while finishing him off. I'm not 100% sure how it works, but it has something to do with like doing damage on the first tick of his 3rd phase spawn. There's way better videos to explain that. Anyways, as I was saying before, this item is super useful, and if you get this stage in your run, you need to go for it because it can be a huge time save. It's not guaranteed, because to get into the ancient gate, you need to go through the stage, find these 2 pressure plates, and press them both. Oh, but I'm only one player, how can I press both? Yeah, that's where it gets fun. When you're playing alone, you can push one of these pressure plates using pots that are found all over the stage. These pressure plates and pots spawn randomly, so that's where we introduce the technique of pot rolling. To do this tech, you need to jump on the pot, push it around, and essentially roll it onto the pressure plate. Sounds easy, right? No. It is the most frustrating thing about this game by far. These pots will not go where I want them to. And that's not just me as an inexperienced player talking. These pots can be so unpredictable, especially when you need to get them to go far distances. And they're so janky, they can be launched away in no time. On top of that, if you shoot them or if an enemy shoots them, they will explode. So if you do not get this right quickly, you'll waste so much time and end up not entering the ancient gate at all. Another secret is the god chest that appears on the stage 4 maps. If you can find these chests, which always have the same spawn locations but can be hidden, you can guarantee yourself a red item. These red items are the highest tier of items. They can give you a crazy amount of damage, extra lives, extra movement, but they can also be really useless, especially in the context of these races. The gamble comes in the form of time spent. These chests are not a normal price. They cost a lot of money that you need to spend time farming, which is not ideal when you're trying to go as fast as possible. On the stage 4 map Siren's Call, this chest appears in the form of a boss fight, where you have to go around finding eggs like it's Easter, and fight a whole other boss just to get the red item, which is way more annoying most of the time. However, let's say you get an item like headset from this chest or boss fight. You can just skip the pillars without any equipment, and deal a crazy amount of damage to Mithrix with its stomp ability. Or you can end up like Wooly, who farmed for 6 minutes just to get a frost relic. The last secret, and I probably shouldn't have called these secrets, are these soup fountains, which are found on the final stage. They can be found all the way in the back, and they're kind of hidden behind this massive pillar. But if you get to them, you can switch out some of your items for different ones. The items in these soups are random and based on the seed of the run. If your items are bad or if you have scrap, you can switch out some of the items for potentially better ones. The only issue is, again, this takes time. So will you run the risk of losing time to get over to the soups in exchange for the possibility of more damage? And is the extra damage even worth it at that point? That depends on the players and what they think is best in their situations. Look, I'm not saying other esports aren't super complicated, they definitely are. But if we take a look at a game like League of Legends, if you farm your minions correctly, know good team comps, read your opponent, and have good macro, you're most likely gonna win the game. In this game, you can't really tell what's going on outside of your own screen. So every macro play, any risk you take, could either win you the game or cost you a lot of time. The routing these players plan and decide on can create so many different outcomes, and it's so interesting that the races are usually very close regardless of the paths taken. I think it's just the insane amount of knowledge that you need to even be able to play that makes it so interesting. All these concepts put together into the concept of an esport makes it so fun, especially as a viewer. Seeing someone get the edge on someone else just for playing the game slightly differently is very entertaining and creates a lot of tension. The comebacks can happen so easily, and if you end up going faster than the run lets you, you can end up missing out on a lot of opportunities. Each run has a specific optimal pace, and finding it is important to doing enough damage, avoiding death, and in return going the fastest. Honestly, I wish I could play it, but I think the game only makes sense if you have like 10,000 hours of playtime. Regardless, as a fan of the sport, I recommend you guys to watch some of the videos I was referencing earlier and maybe catch a stream of these races happening live.